The Browns played better without OBJ. What do you think about the future here? Do you think the team's better off without him?
Well, being a numbers guy, first I'm going to start with a little bit of stats. Baker, in his rookie year, had 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 37-25 for his yardage. Last year, TDs went down to 22, went up in his INTs to 21. His yards went up to 38-27. I'm just going to project out based on through 7 games. He's on pace for 34 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, but only 31-81. So what that means is he's on pace to throw more touchdowns, but not as much yards, which I guess wouldn't surprise me the way that Stefanski likes to run the ball a little bit more than what we've been accustomed to. OBJ has always been a guy that is a touchdown guy, not necessarily a yardage guy. You're not going to see 14 catches a game for at least nowadays. Maybe he was in his first couple of seasons, but 14 catches a game for 215 yards. You're going to probably see 5 catches for 3 touchdowns in a good game. So that being said, Baker looked a little bit more at ease this past week, looking more of a point guard against the Bengals than he had been in recent weeks. Whether that's all because of OBJ being on the field or not, or because they're playing a very poor offense or defense in the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, I guess we'll find out in a few weeks. But I'm leaning towards yes, we're going to be okay, and hopefully Baker will be better without OBJ. But I really like to see what he does against some stiff competition. The Bengals aren't necessarily a litmus test. The Raiders' defense not going to be a litmus test. But it's going to be the Steelers and the Ravens game in December that I'd like to see what happens and how he can disperse the ball against a good defending team and a team that's going to put pressure on him, and he has to make those quick decisions. What I saw from him this past week was what I saw from him in person 2 years ago against the Jets. It was 1-2-3 fire, 1-2-3 fire, and he was going wherever he was. He was hitting David Njoku, who was surprisingly making catches, which was nice. Harrison Bryant, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Hollywood Higgins. It was guys that were inactive a couple weeks ago. So I'm hoping that he's seeing the whole field, seeing the guys that are open and throwing it against whomever he can. And like I said, the Raiders don't have a tremendous defense, so I'm hoping he can keep it up. But having a guy like OBJ to take coverage away from some of these quote-unquote lesser receivers is probably going to hurt. So I'm still going to put my faith in the fact that Baker's going to be able to spread the ball, but the coverage schemes are going to be much different than they have been the first 7 games this year.
Yeah, we had Odell for only a couple plays in the game. No Nick Chubb, no Austin Hooper. Drew, how does that make sense? You have a lot of your best weapons not playing. Baker probably has best game of the season, throwing 5 touchdowns. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I will not stand for this Odell Beckham Jr. slander. Not here, not in this house. In this house, we root for Scorigami, we root for Odell Beckham Jr., and we didn't get either one last week, which that's okay. I think we'll have a Scorigami here. I'm not too worried about that, but certainly Odell Beckham Jr. is the one of the best players, certainly the best receiver, certainly the best pass catcher on this offense, and it is a big blow. We didn't, it's strange, we didn't hear any of this after he single-handedly won the Dallas Cowboys game. None of this, right? So this is a major loss, right? This is going to pretty much, in my opinion, going to make it very difficult for this team to defeat a really good team. To defeat a really good team, you need your best players to have their best games. That's how it works in the NFL, right? When the Browns play the Steelers, TJ Watt has one of his best games. It almost always happens that way, right? You need your best players to step up when you're playing great teams. And without Odell Beckham Jr., this will be very difficult for the Browns. Now, the good news is, and Dan Orlovsky does some really good breakdowns of this. That's at Dan Orlovsky 7. He's a former backup quarterback, excellent analyst. He actually broke this down, what happened on that interception, and it's sort of a microcosm of the Browns with Odell and without. He gets into sort of Baker's mindset. He's a former quarterback, and he's mentioning that That first interception, it's against cover 3, meaning they have 3 defenders defending deep, and the Browns have a perfect play call against it. It's a curl route and a flat route, right? You'll have essentially 2 guys on the side of the field against 1 defender. You make him pick the curl or the flat. You throw it to the other side. Jarvis Landry's wide open for an 8-yard gain if he looks left. For some reason, it's one of the first passes of the game, and he says Odell's running a go route, right? This is, he's going to be covered there. They have a defender running with him. They have a safety over there. He is going to be covered, and he tries to fit in what I think was maybe supposed to be a back shoulder fade. Odell read the same coverage. He said, well, this ball's not going to me, right? This is so he runs his route. He's good. He runs his route. You can tell he did not expect that ball. That is not where that coverage dictated that ball go. Odell knew it, and Baker tried to force it in. So there is some of that mindset of, I'm going to throw this to Odell because he's running a go route. I'm going to see if he can go make a play on this. And we've seen some of that in some other games. People sort of incorrectly say he's forcing it to Odell. I don't think it's that. I think that, he sees Odell potentially running a deep route, and he has that sort of gunslinger attitude, and he wants to take his shots. And he has a lot of faith in Odell, so he throws it to him, right? So there is a little bit of truth to that without Odell, that you're just going to read what the defense does. He's very good pre-snap at reading it, and he can figure out who he's supposed to throw to, and when that first read is open, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So against Cincinnati, he was against when the Bengals blitzed him, which becomes fairly easy to read when it's a bad team like the Bengals. He was 8 for 9, 115 yards, a touchdown, 155.8 passer rating. His overall grade in that game was 91.2. Ryan, you already mentioned 21 straight completions. His only incompletion was a spike. He is very good when he's reading the defense and knowing where to go. And I think that this, he will have to be excellent at that. But the way this team could have made some noise in the playoffs is for Baker to have that plus a receiver like Odell Beckham Jr., who can go ahead and win a game for you by himself like he did against the Dallas Cowboys. So that was going to be their recipe for sort of a deep playoff run. I think that's off the table now, but season can still be a success. Browns can still get in the playoffs and get some of that much-needed playoff experience.
What? Deep playoff run off the table? What are you talking about? Come on.
I'm sorry. You got to have your best players for that, and he's one of their best.